This painting on its own, though, was scandalous and it was groundbreaking. And I think it's all due to the gaze, right?
Yeah.
She isn't shy of who she is at all. Like she's owning her identity, whoever she might be at this point in her life.
Yeah. I mean, and the Mahos fought for their heritage while their country was going through all these changes. So, you know, that boldness really shines through. Like, why would she be any different?
Welcome to Art Slice, a different dive into art and art history. We goof around, we curse, you'll learn from it, but don't expect a typical lecture. You're welcome.
Also, subscribe.
It's up there. Is it up there?
Subscribe.
Just subscribe. Do it.
And click the bell.
Thanks. Hello, gentle ear buddies. Welcome to Second Slice, a second serving of art history, a more relaxed serving of art history.
A supposedly less work for us to do serving of art history, unless, Stephanie, you make me watch the 1958 hit film The Naked Maja, a very fast and loose account of Goya's life. Paco. Let me say, there is a thick and slimy Hollywood sheen on this that is fucking with my brain as we also write Goya 2.
Right. So this is ostensibly a film on the Majos and Mahas that Goya was painting, which we are getting into today.
Yeah.
I am Stephanie Duenas.
Oh, I'm Russell Shoemaker, and as a reminder, listeners/watchers, you can be a watcher. You don't have to just be a listener. We are also on YouTube now, and even though this is a Patreon episode, I think we're going to release it to the public. I think. Cross your fingers.
Maybe.
So you can see our beautiful faces, that we've powdered to.
Not quite the Hollywood slimy sheen. All right. So first, we are going to repaint you a picture, okay? A little refresher from our previous episode on Goya. By the mid-18th century, Spain had acquired a sort of reputation of backwards Eurobilliness.
Yeah, some Eurobilly Spanish pride, some backwoods Spanish bathtub sangria. I forget what I said a few days ago.
Pretty close. So that is until King Carlos III took reign in 1759. So suddenly, Spain was seen as this exotic and desirable place by their French neighbors, thus triggering a mass wave of French immigration to Eurobilly Spain. Their Frenchness and Enlightenment ideals caused many Spaniards, mostly upper class, to become afrancesados. Okay, that is, except for the lower working classes.
Okay.
Who, much to the government's chagrin, doubled down on their Eurobilliness and adopted a more differentiating, redefining look, aka the Mahomes aesthetic. Men wore soft-brimmed hats.
They're bucket hats, yeah.
I mean, according to Russell, they looked like bucket hats. Yeah. There were other hat options. There was a three-cornered hat. There was also a chambergo hat.
Yeah, the chambergo hat is, I think, what you would call a wanderer hat, according to if you believe REI, which I do. I believe REI.
A wanderlust hat?
Wanderer.
Okay.
Wanderer. We're not, which keeps the rays out of your face and the ticks out of your hair. And they were military hats. So you could see this as a doubling down of that Spanish Eurobilly pride. Okay.
So the Mahos also wore neckerchiefs, vests, sashes. They wore breeches over stockings, all tucked into some fancy ass buckled shoes. Okay. And then they wore long capes, often flung across the shoulder.
Very, very dramatic, very mysterioso.
Yeah, see. And any of these items.
Actually, this guy looks a little bit like, is it Tetsuo from Galaxy Express 999?
I don't.
What was the kid's name?
I don't.
Tetsuo might be from Akira. My anime knowledge is very limited.
It's getting mixed up.
Okay.
I don't know.
All right.
So any of these items that I just described could be adorned, embellished, embroidered with flair like metallic thread or buttons.
Yeah, I mean, they're very bright, they're very flamboyant, they're very fine.
Flamboyant.
Yeah, these are men, okay? I appreciate this. I appreciate this because the men in our society shove that need to be flamboyant down.
Yeah.
And it just kind of like seeps from their soul into their lifted pickup trucks.
Oh my God, yes, they do.
Just makes them grow taller and wider.
Oh God, yes.
And louder.
And louder and smellier.
And they rumble so much it rumbles the tears of inadequacies off their faces.
It rumbles the tears out of their eyeballs. I love that. Yes, that is apt.
That's all to say they are the real American Mahos. The bargain bin Walmart real American Mahos.
Mahas, on the other hand, wore a tight bodice that cinched the waist. They wore a top petticoat or a basquinia over a skirt that could be as high as mid-calf, as well as a little jacket. Okay. And all of these were preferably in fine silk and lace if they could afford them.
Okay.
The Mahas preferred to, they had a preferred posture. Okay. They prefer to have arched backs, hand on the hip, gesturing passionately whilst talking or even slapping someone that crossed a certain line. It was said that to be an object of a Maha's passion was a compliment.
To be slapped. It slaps to be slapped.
Now, something we didn't get into in Goya Part 1 was the Majo and Majo's hair. All right, so both men and women left their hair unpowdered.
Right. So they invited the lice in because I think the powdering was to keep the lice out.
Yes, it was also a status thing because remember the French were doing this as well as the afrancesados.
But also to keep the lice out.
Maybe. The Majos and Mahas also embraced a hairnet, the hairnet.
Okay.
But it's not like your regular old mesh situation. Okay, theirs looks to be more opaque and like it's made of some silky sort of material.
Okay. So that would maybe keep the lice out or keep the lice that were in there a little bit more comfortable with the silk.
Slipping inside it. So their mesh hairnet would kind of hang like a grocery plastic bag. I don't know how else to describe it.
Okay.
The way it would hang, it looks to me, it looks like a sort of half-filled grocery bag to me. Okay,
I'm picturing a grocery bag, a plastic grocery bag filled with wet pasta.
Why wet pasta?
I don't know. It just seems like that would be hair. Closest approximation to hair.
Okay, wet noodles. No, it's not what I meant. Okay, anyway, so Mahos would wear the hairnets under their hats, and Mahas would wear theirs under their mantillas, which basically is a veil of sorts. All right,
a lacy veil.
Yes. Yeah. So this hairnet is another connection to those little Mahomies.
Yeah, the Mahomies, right? Yeah.
Hairnets were also really popular with cholos in the 80s and 90s. Apparently, that trend started with men trying to train their hair to stay slicked back.
Okay.
That was the style.
I just use a ball cap because I have very unruly hair.
Does it work all the time?
Yeah, it actually does. It does work pretty well.
That's good.
Yeah.
Unless your hair grows out.
And if it doesn't work, then you have a hat on.
Maybe it just became a staple for some men. They're like, you know what? It became a look. All right. So back to the Mantías, all right? So they first made their appearance towards the end of the 16th century in southern Spain, where it gets caliente, right? So this, exactly. So this helped to shade their face from the sun, but also to keep their hair away from their sweaty faces.
And also it creates a nice cast shadow on their faces with the nice lace pattern.
Sure does.
Yeah.
Sure does.
I like that. Very alluring, very mysterious.
It is. It's beautiful. The mantillas the Mahas wore were likely inspired by their very Catholic Spanish country because going even further back, it may have originated during Moorish rule, where women often wore mantles.
Okay.
So women traditionally wore mantillas to church for modesty. And this idea spread to not just throughout Spain, but also to the Spanish Latin American colonies as well. Okay. Like my grandma, who's from Mexico, every Sunday she'd be wearing a mantilla, but like an opaque cotton one. It wasn't fancy, but you would never catch her at mass without one on her cabeza. So one such Spanish colony, Costa Rica, in the 19th century mandated that all mantillas worn to mass must be opaque and not made of transparent lace.
Yeah, I mean, that makes a lot of sense, right? Because the God juice in your brain is going to seep out of those tiny little lace holes.
It's a little bit
That's
distracting.
just how fabric works, Stephanie.
It's fabric and it's a bit distracting.
You make it sound like they're coming down hard on these people's fashion choices, but it's really just trying to keep the god juice in.
Okay. I don't know about that. Well, some women...
And by god juice, I am picturing like Slimer from the Ghostbusters.
Green slime?
Yeah. Or from like the 90s Ninja Turtles toys. The slime.
Ladies, contain your juices, please.
Yeah. Please. Turtles and ladies, please keep your juices contained. Your green juices contained. Sorry, turtles, slimers, and ladies. I'm trying to hit all the demographics.
Gotcha.
Here. Right.
All right. So some women said no. And they continue to wear their god juice exposing lace mantillas.
Yeah. Letting your god juice flow.
They were standing up for their rights.
Right.
Thus, they were excommunicated.
Okay.
So when you're excommunicated, it means that you're banned from the church.
Okay. So you're freeing up a Saturday and Sunday. Okay.
Basically, yes. Yeah. The mantilla became so ingrained in Catholic culture that you started to see it adorning religious sculptures.
Okay.
One such being the lavishly adorned wooden Virgen de la Esperanza de Macarena de Sevilla.
Yeah.
Or the Virgin of Hope of Macarena of Seville.
Yeah. Hey, like the song, Hey Virgin of Hope of Macarena.
Hey, Macarena. No.
Hey Virgin of Hope of Macarena.
No relation.
Hey Virgin of Hope of Macarena.
No. The artists were actually flamenco artists from Spain, but that's it.
So yes. You said no, but you meant
it doesn't
yes.
have anything. Well, but it has nothing to do with the Virgin. Okay.
You don't know what inspires certain things, like all sorts of influence. We know as artists, Stephanie, all sorts of influences kind of like percolate in your body, and sometimes you don't know where it's coming from exactly. They mix and match, they blend together, and they become the art that you put out into the world.
True. All right, let me rephrase that.
So you say no, I say probably, maybe, potentially.
And I say possibly.
Okay.
Agreed.
All right.
The limited documentation of this hit song from the mid-90s was kind of available. I lost my train of thought. So there are so many versions of the Virgin Mary, right? Baby J's mom. And they all have their own style. And this Virgin of Hope of Macarena is the Seville flavor of the Virgin Mary.
Hard not to do.
So she has this gigantic, reflective, golden star-studded tiara and lace mantilla.
Yeah, it's like a golden burst of gold, I guess. I don't know. But it looks like it has those like bouncy springs. Like I can imagine this kind of wiggling in the... wiggling. And she's oval shaped like that painting The Giantess by Lenora Carrington, LC.
It's like a round triangle.
Right. And this is a part of art history I don't know a lot about, but I love her little wooden Pinocchio face, you know? She has this like carved in like anime tears all over her face. Yeah, I don't know. I feel a lot of empathy for this Mary.
It's very emotive.
It's like, why are you crying, little Pinocchio lady?
I think that's the point. I think she's meant to draw that sort of emotion out of you.
Okay.
She's under the umbrella of Our Lady of Sorrows. So they usually are teary.
The carved eyebrows, with the emotive eyes.
Yeah.
Like, the eyes are too big. It's like,
they did a really good job.
Pulls.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I love this shit, but can't get too much into it. They will sometimes take her out for a parade, for a procession in her own little like canopy with like giant candles. Totally not.
Why did they put her on wheels?
It's part of like the suffering that you devote to God. So there's pallbearers for the... Anyway, we might show you a picture.
We need to travel. Listeners, if you'd like to travel with us, if you want to come see this with us one day, artslicepod.com/travel. Fill out the survey, even if you can't do it this year or next year. Go ahead and do it.
We love to hear your feedback.
We want to know. It's 2 minutes. 2 minutes of your life.
Maybe less.
Maybe less if you're quick.
So this flavor of Mary has very Majo, Maha-esque patrons, which include the Spanish Romani, bullfighters, tailors, embroiderers, and liver donors.
Okay.
Not random.
It's very nice of you because you only have one of those.
You get a little liver tattoo so they know. Okay. All right. Around the 19th century, the mantilla look began to evolve. Okay. A peineta was added. So it's basically a large comb with like teeth, and you put it on your cabeza, you secure it on your cabeza, and that would hold up your mantilla.
Yeah.
All right. So
a little bit like Elaine Bennis. Like it has
Yes.
the first couple seasons of Seinfeld, Elaine Bennis hair.
Yes.
But
so
lace.
it adds the illusion of extra height, but it also holds your hair in place.
Mm.
So yeah, Elaine Bennis was inspired by Victorian poofy hair.
Mm-hmm.
So yes, height.
And then if you're behind one of these Mahas, you see the world through lace.
Down in front.
Yeah.
You didn't want to be that person. But actually, you could find yourself behind one of these at any occasion because women of all statuses still wear mantillas with or without the peineta, though. So if you got lucky, you would be without. So they are reserved for special events like holidays, bullfights, or weddings.
Okay.
All right. You probably didn't want to sit behind one of these, but I have a little video.
Oh my God, these are so tall. Why?
It's like almost ridiculous.
Do they all do all the Mahos now drive around in open air cars like this?
No.
Okay.
That's only the fancy people.
Oh, it's a horse.
it's a carriage. You're right.
They're just kind of flapping in the wind now.
They do. Yeah. They flap gracefully.
Yeah. Well,
I think it's graceful.
Do you think a strong gust of wind sometimes like gives them neck issues because they're just like
no.
Like
they're very light, unless you get caught on something. Then you're fucked. Anyway, we have so there's two very famous women. Okay, we have Jackie Kennedy, and then next to her is a certain Fuchi-faced individual. All right, giving a stink eye to some bullfighter.
Okay.
Yes, this is Sevilla in the late '60s.
That's Jackie Kennedy.
Sitting in the open carriage.
Okay.
Yes.
You could not pay me enough to sit in an open carriage with Jackie Kennedy.
Oh no. I wonder why.
Yeah.
And all right, so let's talk about
her blood-stained Mantia.
No.
I did not reference that. Sorry.
All right, so who is this Fuchi-faced individual that I mentioned?
Oh yeah, sorry.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
It's John F. Kennedy Jr. He's in disguise. For QAnon. Never mind. Okay, go on.
Oh my God. All right, Fuchi-face. She is Maria del Rosario Cayetana Alfonsa Victoria Eugenia Francisca Fitzjames Stewart Silva, a.k.a. The 18th Duchess of Alba. Okay. So
that one's a little easier to say.
Duchess of Alba. Yeah. So she held the Guinness World Record as the most titled aristocrat ever.
Okay. Well, if we learned anything from that H Bomber guy video, you can just kind of pay for those records. So they don't really check. They just take the check.
If you got the money, they don't really question it. So she did own at least 20 castles and 9 palaces, and also one of the most important art collections in the country.
Okay.
So she was known as a rebel duchess who danced flamenco and was often on tabloid covers for a couple of reasons.
Yeah.
So she dressed however she wanted. Some say eccentric, but really she was just dressing however she wanted. But also, towards the end of her life, she had an immense amount of plastic surgery.
Yeah, we're going for a post-human look here. Look, it's fine if you do you.
Yeah,
it is on par with the guy who's like slowly turning himself into one of the gargoyles from Gargoyles, the animated series. You know that guy?
No.
Okay. I'll put a pic up so the listeners can see it.
It's probably horrifying.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's interesting. But anyway, like, I mean, sure, like, do like I said, do you, but also this seems aggressive and maybe is a good case for wealth redistribution.
Agreed.
Maybe you don't need that many plastic surgeries. Maybe that could go towards a road or healthcare.
Yeah, good point.
Yeah.
Good point. So why are we talking about the 18th Duchess of Alba? You might be wondering, ear buddies. Is it because her childhood portrait was the first painting to possibly feature the likeness of Mickey Mouse?
Oh.
Beating Andy Warhol out by 50 years?
That's an early Mickey. Mickey hasn't quite found his look yet.
Pre-vintage.
The ears are a little too small.
They are.
Face is a little too long. Honestly, it looks a little bit too much like a mouse.
He has, he has like whites in his eyes.
Yeah.
This is a very weird painting. But so, no, it's not because of
That's
this.
his long lost buddy from the Disney universe.
Watch that be like an early version of Pluto. Pluto was a wiener dog and then turned into not a wiener dog. All right. So, no, it's not because of any
Mickey,
of these
his friend, the
reasons.
photorealistic dog. Sorry, go on.
Yeah, it's cute.
All
right. So just a mere 5 duchesses prior, the 13th Duchess of Alba was the subject of at least 2 Goya portraits, who art historians have debated could potentially be, but likely is not, the infamous model for two others.
Do you admit it or not? Yes.
So she was a lady in the castles and a Maja in the streets. We have the white Duchess of Alba featuring Miss Duchess in a high-class white dress, pointing stage right to Goya's signature in the sand. A little bit weird, a little bit weird.
Yeah.
It was supposed to be a secret.
I want to shout it to the whole world.
And the Dark World mirror portrait, the Black Duchess, the more risque of the two, featuring Miss Duchess in a lacy black Maha dress, garb, whatever, pointing stage center, where it says upside down to us, the viewers, solo Goya. So, of course, there's much speculation that they were lovers, that they were maybe having an affair, because Goya was married. And, you know, if we believe the hunky Goya, the not at all... I mean, okay, let's just say by Goya self-portraits, he was a little dumpy. Okay, I'm not fat shaming, but he was not the hunk. He was not the hunk in this film.
No, he wasn't.
Plus, who are we to judge like cultural norms? Like maybe that just means he's got a lot of tapas. He's got tapa cash. He can feed his family tapas.
He was a regular at the tapa cart.
Yeah.
The tapa
It's alluring. It's alluring.
The tapa cart.
Look at how many tapas he can afford.
Yo, I will say this. If you have too many tapas, you're gonna gain some weight.
Yeah.
Okay. That's like I had too many tapas. And they serve it with like I don't know what size, a little thing of beer. So you always have your tapas with some beer, and it's just like that's just a ripe combo.
Yeah.
And then you can walk it off because you can drink in the street. Anyway.
Yeah.
All right. So the 13th.
Also, though, can I just say, Goya, I mean, he seems like the guy you'd want to hang out with, too. Maybe that's maybe that's part of it. If he looks like he's a tapa connoisseur, he's the one you go to if you're new in town.
He knows the best
Yeah.
tapa spots. I love that. That's really funny. So the 13th Duchess of Alba is proof that the original Majo Street style became so popular that it was embraced by not only the lower class Mahos, but also the edgier upper crustiers who felt left out. The mysterious style, the mysterious Majo style, was filled with hats and mantillas that could obscure a face, you know, a famous face. Which
under that lacy shadow.
Exactly,
Yeah.
mysterious.
Yeah.
So it meant that nobles could moonlight as Mahos on the down low without repercussion. The Majo train had left the station. Okay, so foreigners began to recognize this look as uniquely Spanish, and it was sexy, all right? And it had spread to the entertainment sector. So bullfighters, stage actors, dancers, they were frightened. Dancers, I don't know, street entertainers, people juggling. They were all dressed in the Majo style.
Okay.
And some, I guess if they were lucky, I don't know, they would be sponsored by wealthy admirers. So they would deck out the Mahos or Mahas in the most luxurious fabrics because, you know, the duchesses could afford them. And it kind of became like a little competition.
It also keeps them on their toes because with the Majo style being so anonymous, anybody could be a potential sponsor. So you're always performing at your best, is what I'm saying.
Oh, possibly.
Because who's that girl in the lacy mantilla?
You know,
is it the Duchess? No.
I bet they knew. I bet they knew who was who, but they didn't say anything.
They're like really paying attention to who's eating their tapas very nobly, prestigiously.
With the pinky out.
Yeah, with the pinky out. Oh.
Love dabbing the grease with a, I don't know, the
a fine
handkerchief.
linen. Yeah.
Your neckerchief also doubles as a tapa.
Did a gold-plated credit card fall out of their pocket when they pulled out their fine designer napkin? To wipe off the hot wings grease off your face.
I love that. Or the churro dust. They have churros in Spain, actually. Yeah. So one such sponsored stage Maja may have been one named La Caramba.
Ay caramba.
Yes, exactly. So her name was actually Maria Antonia Fernandez, whose Andalusian singing style and fashion would influence the flamenco stereotype into the next century.
Okay.
A huge part of her legacy was the word caramba.
No te sotes hombre.
No te sotes hombre?
No te sotes hombre.
Right. So Caramba is an Andalusian exclamation, but because of her celebrity influence, it also became a part of Castilian Spanish and flamenco slang.
Yeah. Y también Bart.
Yes.
How am I doing with my Spanish?
Y también Bart.
Yeah.
You're getting better.
Okay.
You're getting better. All right. So back to King Carlos
El
III.
Barto.
All right. So 7 years into King Carlos III's reign, he's trying to implement all of these changes. He's doing some good, but it's not going great. Bread prices are high, and the Majos and Mahas are now being scrutinized for their clothing. Okay. Supposedly, it was dangerous to public health, to industry, and to morals. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, a lot of lice in there. But it does sound like a very clever diversion. Like, that's not a corporation trying to milk every dollar out of you, trying to milk all your tapas away. That's a trans person trying to unionize in your restroom.
Right. So supposedly a Majo could easily steal a loaf of bread in their sash or cape because there was just so much fabric.
Yeah, and some union pamphlets. Anyway, steal some eggs too.
Seriously.
Just fucking
all
steal
of
it.
Steal everything. In this case, Leopoldo de Gregorio, who was the first Marquess of Esquilache, he was originally from Sicily. Everybody hated him. So he was likely part of King Carlos III's imported entourage.
Yeah, the Palermos, yeah.
Correct. And then in March of 1766, he did the unthinkable. He banned the Majo
Ooh,
hat and cloak.
Why are you going to do... I mean, you know they like to slap. That's just asking for it.
Their costume slaps and they slap. So the new policy did not immediately catch the attention of the people because, you know, they were so worried about the ever-rising prices of food, which Mr. Leopoldo de Gregorio was partially to blame for because he liberalized the grain trade, meaning that they could all charge more for all this
Took
shit.
away the restrictions so the money would trickle down.
This is probably the beginning of that, yes. So after somebody realized the policy, word got around, and the Mahos were like, this is bullshit. And they continued to wear their clothes, right?
And so they tipped their bucket hats and slapped a few people very passionately and said, good day.
Good day. So after 2 weeks of arrests and forcible repression of the Majo garb, a violent mob took place, and the mob fucked shit up.
Okay.
I mean, they fucked shit up. They really hated this man.
Okay.
They really hated him. All right. So King Carlos III was like, oh shit, I got to skip town. And he did. And so did Leopoldo de Gregorio, the Marquess, because they were fucking shit up. Okay, so they had to bounce from Madrid proper.
He's hip, he's cool, he's bouncing.
He's bouncing. He's like, peace. So they tore up the Marquis's house, the Marquess's house. They destroyed many of the street lamps that had been recently installed.
Yeah, installed to enlightenment the streets.
Exactly.
So they didn't care for that.
Exactly. And King Carlos III, being cool, hip, and enlightened,
and bouncing.
he did bounce. Yes, he did meet some of the rioters' demands, one of which was to fire the Marquess and send his ass back to Italy.
Okay.
He did that. That's a big deal. He wasn't the only one, though, that was kicked out. The Jesuit order, who functioned under the RC Squared umbrella, were already disliked by King Carlos III. They were already on thin ice. And then King Carlos III's advisors were like, you know, we think the Jesuits had something to do with this riot.
They incited the riots.
They definitely. And I don't know if they had proof or not, but he banned their asses as well.
Okay.
And not just from Spain, but also the colonies, which is like all over the world.
It's like the Spider-Man pointing at the Spider-Man pointing at the Spider-Man.
Is that a thing?
It's a meme, yeah.
Oh, I don't know. But sure. Yeah. But sure. So eventually, they did talk the Mahos into trading their long capes for shorter French-style jackets.
Yeah, I mean, I can imagine the long capes were the real culprits of any unsanitariness. If they're briskly and dramatically prancing along the streets of Spain, they're probably kicking up some dust. Feces, a lot of horses back then.
Right, and they actually were paving the streets at this time, so there probably were still a lot of dirt roads, but a lot of dirt. So totally. So not just their capes, their hats also were now shorter brimmed. Okay. So their faces weren't totally obscured. Okay. But be assured, the spiciness of the Majo style lived on. Okay. But what about Goya?
Yeah, where is Goya in all of this?
Donde está Goya?
Is he having a knife fight?
He might be. Oh my gosh. He might be. He might be. So there is an early painting by Goya documenting the riots. It is attributed to him, and it's called El Motín de Esquilache, so the mutiny of the Esquilache. It was last exhibited with another painting called The Expulsion of the Jesuits by Goya as well.
So on theme.
Yes. So this was in 1925 that they were last exhibited, and they haven't been seen in public. Okay. They're in some private French collection. which I'm thinking about it, that was almost 100 years ago.
Right,
They're
so-
probably in some vault
Yeah.
somewhere.
Or just a lot of baguettes.
Buried under baguettes. I can see that. Oh, he is so sorry. So the Mahos were still loved or hated, depending on who you asked, in Spanish society, even after King Carlos III passed away. So with all this in mind, let's move on to the infamous Maja paintings.
So like the two Duchess, the Duchesses paintings, we have two sister portraits, each of a reclining Maja. They are essentially the same painting. They are the same woman, both painted by Goya between 1795 and 1800. And both are 3 foot-ish by 6-ish feet. So almost life-size, like kind of like a fat head sticker, Stephanie, if you know about those.
Yeah, just
but like a but like a dirty lenticular fat head sticker, because one is closed and the other is completely nude. And if you
Okay.
look back and forth, it kind of recreates that lenticular thing you do.
That's kind of awesome,
Yeah.
actually.
Yeah.
So these were very likely commissioned by Prime Minister Manuel de Godoy.
Okay.
All right, so here we have a portrait of him by Subaru. Big arrogance energy from this guy. He just looks like a fuckboy.
Yeah. He does look like a fuckboy who's
Yeah.
filled with frijoles. Goya frijoles. Yeah.
Frijoles,
He's
yes.
young, dumb, and full of frijoles.
Yes.
Godoy is a huge part of the regime change we will visit in the upcoming part 2 of Goya, but he's not a central figure. So if you want to look into him, we're probably not going to cover him much after this.
Goya and Godoy were friends.
Okay.
Okay, but I like to think they were frenemies because he stood for shit that Goya was against.
Well, I mean, he's his boss, right? If you think about it. So Goya has to
Yeah.
like politely listen to him talk about Deadpool.
All right, so I could see Godoy approaching Goya like, "Yo, cuz, you paint some pretty pics. How about a little commiz on the DL for my nudes collection?
Oh, wait, a nudes collection.
Got a whole room full of them.
Okay.
No one will ever find out because I'm not a narc,"
Yeah.
he said.
I'm
Maybe.
filled with frijoles, but I'm no narc. All right.
Yeah,
Stephanie, this is not what happened, though, in the Naked Maja movie from 1958.
right.
I would like to see the painting again.
So the movie is not 100% accurate, like
Yeah.
at all. So
It's accurate to me.
foreshadowing.
Right.
I want it near me. Please bring it to me.
Okay. But I also don't see how Goya could have refused a royal commission. This was technically a royal commission.
Right.
Clandestine or not.
Okay. So Goya paints a nude reclining on a mess of frilly lace and silk pillows and other warm bone white linens. Just like his portraiture work, he really excels at painting intricately woven fabrics. Underneath all of that is this velvety Veronese and Viridian green couch. Just a lush, is it chaise lounge? The extended chaise lounge looking thing. Throwback to our first color episode there.
Right, Viridian couch.
No, it's the Thalo couch. I would pose nude for Goya if I could take a nap on this couch. It looks very comfortable. Then behind her is this terra verte wall, which is this muddy olive color that is, I keep using the word warm, but it's all illuminated by this warm, almost candlelit light.
That's Spanish sunshine.
Spanish sunshine. Spanish sunshine.
Spanish sunshine.
Yeah.
That's a mouthful.
Or it's just
Okay.
like a Tapa grill in the room. The coolest color in the whole composition is that couch. So everything else is very warm.
So this woman, she could be any woman without any clothes on. We know she's a Maja, but she's missing the clothes that would make her stand out as a Maja. She's beautiful, but she's not depicted as this infallible goddess like Botticelli's Venus.
Okay.
She's Valeria from down the street who sells seashells by the seashore. She's real. He like painted the girl next door,
Right,
essentially.
right.
It's also implied that she is lower class because she's a Maja, right? So her gaze is like sly and confrontational. You also get a full frontal of her body.
Yeah, exactly. Like we see her pubic hair, which Botticelli's Venus covers in shame with her long locks. right?
Long locks.
So she's already more earthly. She's already more natural.
Natural. Yes.
Natural.
Natural.
Yeah. Also, she could just be looking at the Tapa machine. Now it's a machine.
Yeah,
Tapa's
right.
Goya is keeping on a plate over, but next to his palette.
That's hilarious.
Don't mix 'em.
Just keep. So let's contrast that composition with the PG-13 version, La
Okay.
Maja Vestida.
Yeah, the other side of the lentrical card. Sorry. Go on.
Yes. So it's clear from her relaxed Maha apparel that she is indeed Valeria and not Venus. She's still bold. She's still sultry. She has clothes on. But she is undressing you with her ojos, okay? Which what she's wearing could actually be considered like cozy Maha wear because it looks like she's taken off her mantilla and like her petticoat. But she is undressing you with her ojos.
Or she's looking at the plate of tapas Goya keeps around.
Yeah, that's maybe what that is.
She does look a little hungry.
A little hungry?
Yeah.
Hungry eyes. Okay. All right. So what she's wearing could also be considered like cozy, maybe casual Maha wear because she's taken off her mantilla. She is wearing a petticoat.
Yeah. I also don't see a hairnet. Her hair is
Right.
free, so hope it's worth the lice. And yeah, she's still wearing a little jacket. It's this ornate, muddy saffron, orange, and black with white, thin embroidered fabric. It's very beautiful.
Yes.
Some pointy ochre shoes and a bone white silk dress that is the same color as the silk sheets and pillowcases that she is lying upon.
Yeah, I don't know how I feel about all this fabric. I think it's too much fabric
on fabric
now. Yeah, I'm getting a little like sensory
Silk
triggered.
on silk.
Silk on silk is just like so slippery.
Yeah.
Like, and then just like the sensation of it rubbing together. Like I don't.
It must have been hard to hold that pose, silk on silk. You think she slowly slid?
Yes.
Goya had to like push her back up.
Hold the Maha like to the position where he needed her to be.
While this painting is also warm, you don't get that warm glow like you do in the naked Maha. Like I'm not even talking about the vast swath of nude flesh. The background, wall, and couch are also warmly lit. He really nails the frilly coat she's wearing, but the pillows, the couch, the silk seem a little bit more rushed. Like this whole composition seems a little bit rushed.
Godoy was like,
well, I think
I'm a nudes.
No. I think Goya was a little bit more dialed in to the nude Maha.
Yeah.
I told you it's not done yet, Godoy.
My nudes.
Could be 2, 3, 4, maybe 5 years before I finish. It takes a lot of time.
So
I'm saying he wants it around.
I know.
Okay.
Yeah, I got it.
Yeah.
So, ¿quién es esa Maja? Who is that girl?
Who's that girl?
Nobody knows.
Okay.
Some say it was Godoy's young mistress, Pepita Tudó.
Okay.
Do you see a resemblance? We have a little portrait here
Yeah.
by not Goya.
Yeah. What is going on with her body?
It's migrating away from her body.
Her arms are not in the right place.
No.
Shoulders, not in the right place.
She looks like a doll with like the ball joint arms.
Like a bootleg doll.
Yeah.
They bootlegged the doll's head, but then had to kind of rush the body, sort of situation.
Or you had to paint her in like different sessions. Yeah.
Her body's a composite. It's a composite.
Composite. Yeah. Okay. So like we alluded to earlier, some say that she could be the Duchess of Alba, the 13th Duchess of Alba. The Solo Goya inscription in the Black Maha painting incited all sorts of steamy rumors of that affair between them.
I thought it was supposed to be a secret.
I want to shout it to the whole world.
But there is no proof that this affair ever happened. There is proof that Goya was infatuated with her, but was it reciprocated? We don't know.
I mean, I can see why historians thought that this was the Duchess of Alba. Like, I also would like this to be true. Like, there's a symmetry between the white and the black duchesses that matches up nicely with the symmetry of the clothed and desnuda Mahas. Okay.
Good job.
I mean, they seem like they're meant to be together thematically.
Yes, but also from an artist standpoint, like, I don't know, sometimes you might find yourself doodling mindlessly and you end up drawing the same looking people.
Or maybe you just like to make works in 2 parts too. Like, it could be that as well.
That too.
Yeah.
That too. Because, and I'm saying that you end up doodling the same looking people because I think personally what it is a composite of several different models. I think that's what is more likely because a lot of painters did that back in the day.
I feel that like this is the Mahas they're not entirely accurate paintings either. Her head sinks into her chest in kind of a weird way. They're just like the other portrait of Pepita. There are segmented parts of her body that look accurate, but kind of like stitched together in places where they don't quite align.
Her breasts kind of, they don't sit in a natural way. I'm going to say that. Like they don't. Which makes me wonder.
Moving kind of up near the shoulder area, which is strange. But Goya's work, it's never been entirely accurate, thankfully. I mean, I think that's why it's so good. He's not a Bernini. I wouldn't want him to be a Bernini.
Right.
it would be really boring if we were just looking at a hyper realistic, like over the top, like what do we say, like Dragon Ball Z, Marvel Cinematic Universe type characters.
No, thank you. No, thank you.
Yeah, because imperfections are more realistic than perfections. That is how we experience the world every day. Imperfect is the reality.
Right. And if you look at this painting now, like today, you're like, what's the big deal?
Right.
What's the big deal?
Especially when you look at the paintings to come, like the Grand Odalisque or Olympia, which are just as more confrontational in some ways, more risque in some ways.
Right. This painting on its own, though, was scandalous and it was groundbreaking. And I think it's all due to the gaze, right?
Yeah.
She isn't shy of who she is at all. Like she's owning her identity, whoever she might be at this point in her life.
Yeah. I mean, and the Mahos fought for their heritage while their country was going through all these changes. So, that boldness really shines through. Like, why would she be any different? Also, it's hot in Spain. So
you might want to take off your clothes.
You might want to take off your clothes and lay on a silk sheet.
All right. So it's not known if the two works, the Maja desnuda, Maja vestida, were intended to be hung together. There's an early account describing the clothed Maja being placed in front of the nude Maja. And apparently you could just pull a cord.
God.
And it would lift up the clothed one. It would reveal the desnuda one, the nude
he's
one.
So horny and full of frijoles.
Yeah, I'm imagining this was in the secret collection of Godoy's. Yeah. But also not to ruin the general story, but the French eventually do gain control of Spain. They reinstate the RC squared, which had lost power during King Carlos III's reign.
Right.
In 1808, the Spanish Inquisition was sicked upon Godoy.
Godoy, yeah.
They found the stash, and he was forced to reveal the artist behind all the confiscated works. Goya was not the only one among them.
I thought he wasn't no narc.
But he is a little bitch. I mean, yeah, he was a narc. So Goya was charged for moral depravity. And of course, the Inquisition was like, why did you do this? Why did you paint this hot woman?
Right. Why'd you paint this smoking babe, Goya?
Well, how does this make you
feel? We've examined this.
Yeah, in thorough detail.
And we would like to know, why did you smoke? Why did you smoke? Why did you paint this smoking hot babe?
All right. So his response doesn't survive. We don't have any documentation of it.
The beauty of woman is part of the beauty of creation. In any case, I did not paint it for yokels to gape at.
But it seems that the Inquisition accepted that he had just been following the example of like previous masters, right? Like Titian and Velázquez, they actually were part of this collection as well that Goya was among. And they had also painted racy nudes, and no one, including people in the church, had a problem with it. So he's like, what's the big deal?
Yeah. What's the deal?
Yeah. He was threatened, but he was not charged.
Okay.
So
I believe they said something to the effect of like, we should charge you, but you're fucking Goya.
I'm Goya, bitch.
I'm the only one!
Yeah, no, I'm not even kidding. I think that is what they said to a degree. I mean, it was obviously not like how I said it.
Well, but he is a status, right? He is he's an upper royal court painter. He's not no one.
He was the most prestigious painter in Spain at this time.
So the impact of both the Mahos' attitude and dress, as well as Goya's record of them, continues to live on in Spain. Today. Let's dive into some modern interpretations. Like we have alluded to throughout this entire episode, in the 1950s, Ava Gardner, like an old Hollywood star, she was the star in The Naked Maja.
Sometimes your paintings frighten me.
She wore all sorts of beautiful Maja costumes. In fact, I think the most accurate part of this entire movie were the costumes, and the sets, possibly. Yeah. Also in the 1950s, Pablo Picasso wanted to paint a Duchess just as Goya had allegedly painted a nude and clothed Maja.
Do you think he had just also watched The Naked Maja?
Maybe. Maybe it hadn't come out yet.
Right.
But Cayetana, the 18th Duchess from the Mickey Mouse painting earlier, she actually turned down Picasso. He had asked her to pose and she was like, no. She wanted to preserve her monarch status because, after all, this was in the middle of the Franco regime. And Picasso was aligned with communists. All right. So it's like the opposite of...
And he was an asshole.
And he was understatement. So, in fact, around this time, she had exhibited some Picasso works in a private show, and there were right-wing protests outside. And this led to her reputation as a lefty, but she definitely wasn't.
Yeah. She was definitely an oligarch.
See. Some other modern interpretations, we have Rosalia,
of Diet Coke fame. Yeah.
Of Diet Coke fame,
Yep.
yes. If you know.
Not
you
a
know.
good one, Diet Coke. Just going to say, I tried it. Not a good one.
Liquid Skittles.
Yeah.
I'll say that.
Disgusting.
Fizzy liquid
I
Skittles.
dumped it on the concrete.
Don't say that. Okay. All right. So in 2018, Rosalia had a video called Di Mi Nombre, in which she's dancing her flamenco thing, and then she ends up posing like the clothed Maja.
Okay.
It's a beautiful video. It's a beautiful set. Definitely worth watching. That's another one. And in 2022, just recently, the Just Stop Oil protesters glued their manos to the clothed and nude versions of the Maja in the Prado. Yes. And then this year, a luxury French brand Dior, their resort collection for 2023, was very inspired by the 18th Duchess of Alba. Part of the latest in a long line of designers who have riffed off the Majo and Mahas. Okay. There was also Jean-Paul Gaultier in 2009. But this line, it mixes some feminine and masculine, but also androgynous looks like ruffled skirts and bolero jackets and lots of lace.
It's very cool.
It's gorgeous.
I love these, except for the prints. I don't like words.
You don't like the fuego print on this dress?
The rest is really rad. I really like
No,
this.
I agree.
Yeah.
It's like fuego, really? Okay.
Yeah.
Is
that it?
Continues on. That's all I have. Otherwise,
all we got
could
today?
be here all day. We could be here
we
all
could keep
day.
going. But yeah, thank you for your support, patrons. We give you a internet through the wires hug through the wires. We couldn't do this without you. So I hope this tides you over until part 2 of Goya.
Yep.
Make sure you head on over to YouTube, watch the video there, subscribe, hit the notification bell. And if you, like I said, if you are interested in traveling with us, please fill out the survey at artslicepod.com/travel. It only takes a few minutes to fill it out, and we can start planning out some trips that you could potentially come with us on.
Yay!
Is that it?
Yeah.
All right. Goodbye.
Adios.
Adios.
Ay. It's my ancestors.
Hey.